Hello and welcome to Easy Peasy Crochet. Today we are going to crochet this very lovely square. It's not granny square because it's not the traditional granny square look, but I found this in a book and I love it so much. It is called a Mexican tile square. So that's what we're going to make today. I have other videos if you want to check those out. If you're more of a beginner, this is definitely more advanced than a beginner, but it requires a chain stitch, slip stitch, double crochet, and single crochet. So if you need tips on how to do any of those, please look at my other videos because I have a video for every single one of those, and they begin super slow and are very informative as well. So this is a square we're going to be making, and I am using Karen 1-pound balls. I'm not sure how many balls of yarn you need to complete this project, but I do know if you get this, I get this at Joann's. I like it a little better than Red Heart. It's a little bit thicker, but it is still medium 4, and usually use a 4 hook. I'm going to use a J or 10 millimeter or 6 millimeter hook today. But you can vary it. I think anything from like a 5 to a 6.5 you can use, and you could get the same square. It would just be a little bit different in size. But I'm using, let's see what color red this is, Scarlet red, but any red will be fine, or you can make this square any color you want, obviously. And this is a raspberry pink. My kids like to take the wrapper off of the yarn and call it naked. So I don't have the name for this one or the other ones actually, but they're all the same brand, and there's usually not that many different colors of them available. So you don't have to look through, you know, a dozen different reds to find the red or pinks. They're usually, you know, you can usually see by looking at what this is, what colors you need. So a barn red, a raspberry pink, and then the next color is actually a blue. Where did my blue ball go? Here it is, and it's a sort of a light blue, aqua blue, if you will, and a rustic looking yellow. And I am taking up so much room on the camera, but here you go. And this is just like a sand color, very light sand color. And yes, and that helps to create this square. So we're gonna do this since I have already been talking this long, and I hope you enjoy. We're first going to start with our red. And like I said, if you need help with any of these first steps, please refer back to the other videos, because this one's more like a follow along for the pattern and hook size and what have you. So we are going to start with our slip stitch, and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we chain 4, we're going to go into the first hoop on your hook and just put that in there, and we're going to slip stitch, yarn over, and slip stitch under both of those, creating your circle. You can also start this out with a magic circle. Some people do the magic circle. Then we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. After you've chained 3, we're going to crochet 16 all the way around into the circle. And with this one, you kind of want a wider circle, and some of mine I got used to pulling my tail and closing in the hole, but I kind of want mine a little bigger, because it just creates a different a look and a different style to the whole blanket. So I'm not going to pull my tail at all. And if you've crocheted any kind of squares before, you know that you usually do that to close up the hole, but I want this one to be big. I want to see what it'll look like a little more different. But yeah, we're going to chain double crochet 16 around. And I guess I do naturally pull my tail, but trying your best not to. I think I do most of all to keep it tucked under and out of the way. But we really want to keep it loose because getting 16 through this hoop is hard. I think normally you would do 12 for a granny square, so it's just kind of, it's already tough getting 12 in there, let alone 16. So whatever you pull, make sure you kind of toughen it up and get it open again. And I'm going to count mine after this because I have not been counting. And see if we have 16 around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the third chain. And I'm going to show you how I color change. Some people do it differently. I try to pull my hook a little bit so I have a teeny bit of slack on my hook, take it out, and I cut it just barely to the end here, about this far. And then to color change, I pull the slip stitch I just made out, so it's separated now. And you roughly have it's probably about 1.25 inches left on your tail. And I'm going to get my raspberry pink is the next color. And I'm going to try and you can pull this hoop a little bit. We're going to go right into this circle later, this little hoop we have, the last one on our hook. I'm going to go into there in just a second. So I want to try to keep that open while also doing a double knot to secure the next color. Whoop. And that's about it. And when you do that, you're going to get your hook back on. And I'm going to slip stitch again in the top. And that way I have pink to start instead of red. I don't tie it before I slip stitch, so there is a reason why I slip stitch, unslip stitch, cut, and what I do it so so I get that exact so it's exact, so it's not, you know, red up here, because that's happened in my work before. And I think, you know, now I feel like I've perfected hiding my colors really well when they change. So now what I do is get my yarn and I lay it across the top of this circle to hide it. And what I do is I yarn over with I'm just going to show you so I don't have to explain too much of what this looks like. And then I'm going to go into your very next circle while really trying to keep these ones aligned with the braids. Whoop. Try to come up here and finish our double crochet by yarning over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then you can see that it's getting really close to the end here. You can also weave through. This is just a way to make your work look the cleanest. And then what I do is I'm getting really close to the red here, so I'm going to yarn over and do the same thing I was doing before and double crochet to where you're hiding your yarn at the same time. And that should hide it really well. After this next one, we won't have any more left on our hook, so we're going to do that again. Alright, so now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And by then your work should look a lot like this. And we are going to attempt to hide your little tails. And if you would like, some people weave them in later or find a way to tie them onto their work. I like to align it on the side of where I'm working, so I go ahead and I double crochet around it. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go into this next braid while trying to push these down and really keep these under where they belong. And pull through, and I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And as you can see, that is sometimes you get a little extra there. I would pull out what's kind of slack there, a little bit of the pink. I'm going to yarn over and hide the rest of it. And there we go. And now, you know, you have a seamless looking work, and if something comes out later, you can cut it off or hide it more so in your work. So to do this pattern, I'm going to go ahead and keep a reference right here. We have 1, 2, 3, and for this one we are going to do what they call an increase on the last one before we turn. So into this next one, this fourth one, we're going to go 1, and then we're going to put one more double crochet right beside it, 2. Once we've done that, you should have this, and we are going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is what's gonna later give us this arch. And we're going to turn our little circle, and you're going into the next one, and you're going to double crochet 3 across, 1, 2 in the next, 3 in the next, and inside your fourth one you are going to chain 2, do an increase of 1 is what they call it, but you're going to put 2 in the same double crochet. So you should have something that looks like this. Each side should be looking the same so far, and you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go into the very next one and chain 3 across, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 2 into the fourth one, 2 double crochets into the very same stitch. And then once you got this, we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 3 just like we did before, double crochet 3 across like we did before, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the fourth one we're going to add 2, 1, 2. We're going to chain 4, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to slip stitch into the third chain on your hook, or on your, guess your chain on your chain, we'll call it. Okay. You slip stitch through, and this is where I changed my color again. So this is what you should have. Obviously it will be looser or tighter depending on hook size, tension, etc. And I'm going to color change the exact same way. If you find another way easier, do it. Feel free, please, to do it your way. But I do it this way because it kind of measures itself, and it really gets hidden very well. Take that out, and I'm going to pull this, which will pull out that last chain, and then I have something to tie it onto. Look like this. Put your hook back through your hoop and do your slip stitch, and your color should turn out to be the next color. And you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the top of each one of these and add 1 across. Just 1 across, while also doing what I did before, and that was hiding the tails of all the colors. That can get frustrating for beginners, but don't give up, and you can always go back and weave them in. This is just the best way I know that stays through washes of the blanket and stuff like that. And then yes, even with this increase, you're going to go through the 1 and the 2, so you're going to go through that last one as well. And then in order to get this beautiful pear shape, we're going to go into where the chains were. We're going to go straight into this big hole. We're going to double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3. And this round of stitches is a lot like the second row. You're preparing for the next beautiful pear shape, this small one, after your large one. So we're going to chain 3 to get this small one. 1, 2, 3. and then we're going to crochet 3 into the big hole once again. 1, 2, and 3. And after you've done that, you might have to keep pushing this out of your way, but it should start to really corner off at a beautiful 90-degree angle. And once that is done that, we're going to go into the top of each one of these, counting. This one is your first one. In case you were trying to look at your work and figure out what the first one is, it's right there. We're going to crochet, double crochet into each one across, just like we did the first time. And if you think that you have the pattern down, feel free to skip ahead, but I am going to go all the way around so everyone can see. We go all the way across. And just once. So after your 3, chain 3, 3, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And then we're going to double crochet straight into the big hole 3 times. 1, 2, and 3, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 3 into the big hole. 1, 2, 3. And to find where you go next, make sure you move this out of your way, because that can get confusing. I got confused the first time I did this pattern because it was when I did those 3 last ones, it kind of hid my first double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets in a row, and then we're going to do the same corner, and I'm just going to finish it off by not telling you, because I think by now you've probably got the hang of it. 3, 3 chain 3. And I found this crochet pattern. I loved it so much that I actually bought the book, and to do it I went exactly off the same colors too. Rarely do I pick the same color, the same pattern, the same everything, but I really like that one, and I actually bought the books. I usually don't buy books either. I could take a picture and know how to do it, but I really wanted to keep the book because there were a lot of beautiful squares and triangles and different shapes to do in it. So whenever I find that book again, I will definitely post which book it was, because for beginners, intermediate, or even expert, they're just really nice, cute patterns and beautiful colors throughout the whole book that are inspiring to make different blankets. Very bohemian and bright, kind of, yeah. It's very Indian and Mexican. Those are the colors that I love so much. And this pattern might not even be I just found this blanket the other day. I'd had it almost completed, and I forgot, because I got pregnant and forgot to finish it for so long, but I found it and I ended up finishing it up just by looking at my square instead of finding the pattern in the book. So this may vary a little bit from what you get in your book, but it works. It looks nice, and it might be exactly what the book says. But yes, so I am going off an old pattern that I found. So there's what your next one should look like. If you've gotten this far, you can even do so many of these, and they would look pretty even without the extra borders, because I've contemplated making one just like this, because these colors are so pretty. But for the next, we're gonna cut it like I would the other ones. Take my hoop out with a loose hoop, cut a small bit from the end, and then I'm going to get this beautiful, one of my favorite colors. It's a mustardy, rustic, sunflower yellow. Take out that chain, or the slip stitch, excuse me, and I'm going to tie that off. Once I've done that, the pattern gets pretty simple after this. We are going to slip stitch where we just pulled out, and I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. Once I chain 2, I'm going to single crochet until you get to this circle. So I'm going to try to do that while also keeping my work underneath my single crochet. And then after you have your chains, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So counting chain 8 across, and then we are going to go into these little pear shapes, and we are going to add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. And with this first pear shape, you are going to have to move your work out of your way to be able to see where you need to go into next, and you're going to go all the way across until you get to the end. Single crochet all the way across, and once you do that, you are going to do the same thing around. You are going to single crochet 4 into the pear shape, and then single crochet across, single crochet into the pear shape, and then and then you would, once you get to the very end, you would slip stitch in the top. In this part, I will probably just speed up because by now you should, if you've made it this far, the pattern should be quite easy. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this part and see you for the next row. Alright, now that we have made it here, this is about what your end should look like. This is your chain stitch, and this was your last single crochet. We're going to go into the second hoop on the top, grab that and slip stitch through, and I'm going to do my last color change. Woo! And that is going to be done the same way the other ones were, or the way you had it. Alright, and after that we are going to chain 2 and then go into every row across, even where you increase, go into every single stitch around, and you are going to do a single crochet. And if you are going to speed up and do that ahead of me, just know that this square ends up looking sort of squished in like this at the end ish, not like this, but a lot like that after the last single crochet is done. And this is from me just stretching it back into place. So don't think there's something wrong with your work and tear it apart, okay? Because I promise it will lay flat, and once you bind them together, they look like squares. They do not look like this hourglass shape on each side. So that's just in case you didn't fast forward, you know that. And so single crochet all the way around, and I guess I can meet you at the end to tie off, unless you know what you're doing now, and I'll see you later. Okay, if you have made it to the end, your end should look a lot like this. And you are going to slip stitch into the second chain on your hook. I cut off about 2 inches of my tail, and this is the part I use just to do a little extra bit of a knot. I grab this little part that's left, I bring it through, and I pull, and that creates a nice little loop, and then I do this, do it just a knot, and then I knot that into place. This one I kind of weaved it through just to hide it, but normally I just leave them like this until I'm ready to bind. And this is what your square should look like, and this would be another one. And yes, I'm gonna do a video just for binding because there are so many different ways and so many looks. I like to do the most seamless, just for most of mine. This blanket I did a while back, and then finished it off recently, so I have to do the binding I was doing before that I thought was like the best to hide the seam, but it really wasn't. But I will put different methods to show you what they look like. There's probably at least 4 ways that I know of. So yeah, so go find that video, and I will see you later. Happy crocheting.